Hi everybody, my name's John Harrop from Aptis Tutor, the place to come to for everything Aptis exam related. And today we have another example of an advanced writing. So what we thought is that it could be a good idea to pause the video after every question, then sort of write your own answer. And remember to keep in mind the time limit and the word count. And then finally compare your answers to the sample answers that we've given. And in that way, that should help you to improve, or at least give you some idea of what you can do to write better answers. Okay, so let's go straight on to the sample. And part one. You are a member of a book club. You are talking to 3 other members in the book club chat room. Talk to them using sentences, use 30 to 40 words per answer, and answer all 3 questions. We suggest that it should take you 10 minutes for this part of the exam. Remember, the style should be chatty and informal, and it should sound a little like you're talking to a friend. So it's Ahmad says, "Hi, welcome to the club. I've always been into reading, especially novels, and I usually read about 3 a month. What about you?" Hi Ahmad, wow, you're a real bookworm. I suppose I get through about 1 novel a month. Unfortunately, work eats into my free time these days, but if I worked less, I'd probably do the same. Okay, so remember to answer the question. Okay, so you get full marks for task completion. Okay, let's have a look at some of the vocabulary. So, wow, you're a real bookworm. Okay, and a bookworm is a person who reads very much and who likes reading very much too. So for example, my mum's such a bookworm. She's always reading. Okay, and then we've got the phrasal verb to get through something. Okay, so the verb to get through something has different meanings depending on its context. And in this sentence here, it means to manage to complete or to finish something. And that's to finish something that's normally finite. Here's another example. Let's start now. There's a lot of paperwork to get through. Okay, and now we've got to eat into something. Okay, is to use up. So imagine this is an apple. And spending so much time marking eats into my weekend. So the apple's your weekend, and you eat into it, and so you don't have as much time. So slowly, you eat away at the weekend. Okay, and Sophia says, "Welcome. Can you tell me something about the type of books that are popular in your country?" Yeah. Funnily enough, I was in my local bookshop just the other day, and I noticed they had a list of bestsellers on the wall. The top 3 in fiction were all psychological thrillers, while cookbooks topped the non-fiction charts. Okay, so to start off with, funnily enough, this is a sort of a mixture of something of coincidentally, surprisingly, and maybe a little strangely too. Again, it depends on the context. Here's another example. Funnily enough, I was just thinking of you when you phoned. And then there's bestsellers. Okay, so these are the books that many people buy. So that's the noun, and the adjective is best-selling. give you an example to clarify this. Okay, so the Harry Potter books are bestsellers. And J.K. Rowling is a best-selling author. To top, okay, is to be in the number one position, to be at the top. And the charts, this is a list of things what people have bought most of. We often use this for books and music. So, give you an example. Ed Sheeran's latest single is going to top the charts this week. Okay, so Ed Sheeran, we predict, is going to predict it's going to be top of the charts because it's going to sell so many copies. Right, and now Noor asks, who's your favorite author and why are you interested in him or her? Okay, so there's two things to answer here. So the first of all is your favorite author and why. So you'll need to give a reason. Wow, if I had to pick just one writer, I'd say Agatha Christie. I can't resist a good whodunit. Her books may not be highbrow literature, but I love the way she weaves the plot and creates three-dimensional characters. Okay, so if you look at the beginning there, you've got the conditional. Okay, so if I had to pick just one writer, I'd say Agatha Christie. Remember, this is a C1 level and you want to use as much grammar as you can, like in all parts of the exam. Okay, let's look at some of the vocabulary. So we've got a whodunit. So a whodunit is an informal word to describe a book, a film, or a play about a murder where you don't know who committed the murder until the very end. Normally in the book, there are some clues, so you're thinking, who might it be? Just another example. I love whodunits. They're real page turners. Okay, page turner is a type of book where you're, let's get my books, show you. So you're all the time, you're turning the pages. It's impossible to put this book down. Highbrow means intellectual, scholarly, or connected to serious artistic ideas. Example, he only reads highbrow newspapers. Okay, and to weave a plot, this is to make a complex story out of a number of interconnected ideas. So you get all these ideas, there's a weave here, this sort of, and yeah, and the story is really quite complex. And finally, a three-dimensional character. Okay, this is when a character is described so well that the character seems very real and lifelike to you. Right, and now we move on to part two. Okay, so this is the formal writing. You have received this email from the airline you recently flew with. Read the email and the note you have made. Write a reply using all the information in your note and express how you feel about the situation. You should write between 120 and 150 words. Our suggested time to do this is 15 minutes. So remember, the style should be formal. You should use all the information in the notes, express how you feel about the situation, and remember, write between 120 and 150. So no less than 120 words or you'll lose marks for task fulfillment. Dear passenger, thank you for flying with us recently. We value your custom and would like to hear about your experience. Firstly, we want to know your opinion of our cabin staff, as your safety is of the utmost importance. Were they able to help you in any way? We would also like to know what you thought about the plane and its facilities. Finally, we would like to hear your suggestions for improving the overall flying experience. Yours faithfully, Customer Services. Okay, and here's the notes that refer to the 1, 2 or 3. So the staff are young and inexperienced, they chatted to each other all the time, but they were friendly. The plane was clean, very new, but the seats were a little bit uncomfortable. And finally, just too many announcements selling things. Okay, so you have to put all this information together in a formal way. So let's start. Dear Customer Services, I am writing in response to your email pertaining to my recent flight. Okay, so pertaining to is regarding. With regard to the cabin crew, boarding and disembarking were very efficiently managed. Although I didn't require assistance personally, I noticed that they were prompt in coming to the aid of passengers with young children. So coming to the aid here means helping. However, when it came to serving snacks, they were rather disorganized, mixing up several orders. I attribute this to lack of experience as they were all very young. Okay, so the reason of the mix-up was due to lack of experience. As for the plane itself, it was obviously brand new, which made me feel secure. There was adequate storage space and the toilets were spotless. In terms of comfort, I felt rather cramped and would have liked more legroom. Okay. So the toilets here were spotless. So they were really, really clean. Okay. And cramped, you know, sometimes on a plane or on a train, but especially a plane, there's not a lot of room and you feel like you can't move so much. It's cramped. And legroom is the space that's in front of your legs when you're on a seat in a car or a train or a plane. I've got a photo here to demonstrate. Here you can see this passenger is cramped. He doesn't have a lot of space and he has very little leg room, so much so that he has his leg in the aisle. Okay, I would suggest that the overall experience could be improved by reducing the constant announcements about in-flight sales and the duty-free trolleys blocking the aisle. Okay, so this is your suggestion on how to improve the service. So maybe not so many announcements during the flight. Yours faithfully, again because you don't know the name of the person who you're writing to, John Harrop. Okay, oh yeah, and the final thing, there's some of the words that I've highlighted. Oh yeah, I forgot one, brand new. And this is a really good collocation for you too. Brand new means very, very, very new. And yeah, an aisle. So aisle is the part of the plane. So you have the rows and the aisle that goes down the middle. Be careful of the pronunciation. Okay, we'll go on to the final part. So this is the article writing. And Live Today is a website that accepts short articles from members of the public on subjects of popular interest. You have been asked to contribute an article on the subject of how do people spend their time. You have already done some research on the subject in note and diagram form. Use the information from your research notes to help you write an article that is both informative and interesting. Okay, so that's the key thing. Write between 180 and 220 words. Remember, stick to the word count, and we should suggest that you spend 20 minutes on this. Okay, so there's your notes underneath and the chart. So you have to put all this information together in an interesting and informative way. The type of thing that maybe you would read in a magazine or in a blog post, but an interesting blog post. In the sample answer, you'll see that some of the text has been highlighted in bold. If you click on the link below, this will take you to the web page on our website, which will give you more information about these phrases. Okay, so here we go. Work to live or live to work. We think it's a good idea to have some type of hook or a snappy, engaging title. This perennial question usually comes up when we're fed up at work. We find ourselves wondering if it's all worthwhile. So let's have a look at the habits of 3 nationalities to see if we've got the right work-life balance. Okay, so there you got your introduction there. Going by the latest numbers, the inhabitants of the country with the highest GDP in the world, the USA, predictably work the longest hours. They also spend the most time sleeping. After all, they must be tired. The average American devotes barely more than an hour per day to eating. Okay, so we started talking about the Americans, and because they work the hardest, they spend the most time sleeping. At the other end of the spectrum are the Italians. So you've got the Americans here and the Italians at the other end of the spectrum. With their culture of living and eating well, La Dolce Vita is famous throughout the world. It's no surprise to see they spend more than 2 hours a day eating and drinking. Their working day is by far the shortest. And in the middle here, the Irish fall between these 2 camps. Although their working day is considerably longer than that of the Italians and not much shorter than in the USA, they only spend 85 minutes per day eating. Meanwhile, the activity with the least variation in time per country is sleeping. While these numbers are, of course, only a generalization, they definitely give us food for thought. So, keeping that in mind, how does your life compare? So at the end, we finish off with a question that makes you go away and think. We hope that you found the video useful. There is lots more information on our website, www.aptistutor.com. We aim to upload a new video every 10 days or so. So remember to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Okay, take care and stay safe.